Straight ahead on CCX News, it feels like spring this week. But for allergy sufferers, it started a long time ago.
We're starting to see allergy season start earlier and last longer.
Plus, been there, done that. We take you inside two new businesses that just opened up in downtown Robbinsdale. But first, a debate over taxes. Is it a case of much needed tax relief, or is it a case of misplaced priorities? Hello and thanks for joining us. There are different opinions in St. Paul on what Minnesota should do with the state's $1.65 billion budget surplus.
Last week, House Republicans proposed a $1.35 billion tax cut, which does not exactly excite Democrats. And we get more now from Eric Nelson, who talked with some local lawmakers today and joins us. Eric?
Yeah, Alex and Mike, get ready for some political sparring about how the surplus should be used. The House omnibus tax bill is similar to a proposal that was vetoed by Governor Mark Dayton last year. Republicans say that middle-class Minnesotans have been overtaxed and that this bill will benefit many across the state.
And there's really something for everyone in our tax bill. Stuff for senior citizens, stuff for families with kids, college students, for farmers. There's some R&D tax credits, and then repealing the estate tax, or rolling back the estate tax in Minnesota.
Now, while Republicans are praising the HF4 bill, Democrats are singing a different song. They say there are no working family tax cuts in the bill and that the cuts are mostly for businesses and millionaires. Democrats want a smaller tax bill that focuses more on schools and the cost of higher education so student debt can be reduced in the future.
It shows really misplaced priorities for the state of Minnesota. The size of the tax bill is so large, so weighted towards wealthy and out-of-state business interests that it squeezes out funding for early childhood education through 12th grade, and it squeezes out funding for our colleges.
Last year's bill did have bipartisan support with both Democrats and Republicans, as 89% of legislators voted for it. But Governor Dayton vetoed the bill because of specific language he did not like. Mike?
All right, Eric, we'll see what happens. Brooklyn Park will take another swing at a resolution that previously drew disagreement among city council members and a feeling that the resolution was overly political. The resolution was originally put forth by Councilmember Susan Paugh. It's meant to show support for refugees, immigrants, and Muslims, who some council members believe are being unfairly targeted in the community. City Council could act on a revised resolution that was done after nearly a dozen meetings and community gatherings. Council members believe such a resolution will help immigrants feel more accepted.
Drivers are starting to feel the pinch of road construction on Interstate 94. MnDOT says the highway is getting some much needed attention. This morning, the left lane of eastbound 94 closed between Brooklyn Center and Highway 55. Here's what that backup looked like during the rush hour. Officials say traffic will eventually go down to 2 lanes in each direction over that stretch through this fall. The highway handles more than 140,000 vehicles per day, and the highway is feeling that wear and tear. MnDOT says it will take 2 years to resurface 9 miles of freeway and repair 50 bridges.
There's no word yet on how the northwest suburbs will be impacted after national video game retail chain GameStop announced plans to close stores. GameStop will close at least 150 of its stores worldwide as the bricks and mortar retailer faces increased pressure to compete against a growing number of sales through online and digital platforms. There are 3 GameStop locations here in the northwest suburbs. They're in Plymouth, Brooklyn Park, and Crystal. The calendar says that spring began on March 20th, but if you talk to someone who suffers from seasonal allergies, well, they'll tell you a different story.
That is true. Doctors say people started experiencing symptoms back in February, and as Delane Cleveland reports, the early allergy season is becoming a trend.
When spring arrives in the Twin Cities, it's generally an enjoyable time. The snow has melted, the temperature is warm enough to get outside, and trees begin to bud. But if you talk to seasonal allergy sufferers,
Allergy symptoms can just be this constant nuisance to daily life.
they have a slightly different take on the change in season.
A lot of patients with allergies will have recurrent sinus infections. It will be a trigger for migraine headaches. Allergies can set off asthma symptoms if you also have asthma.
Dr. John Sweet is a former allergy sufferer himself. This year, he started seeing patients with mold allergies as early as February, and those allergic to tree pollen are seeing symptoms now.
Year to year, we're starting to see allergy season start earlier and last longer.
Dr. Sweet says an estimated 40 to 50% of the population suffers from seasonal allergies. He recommends they begin using their nasal sprays and antihistamine now if they haven't already. Otherwise, if medication doesn't work, he suggests getting an allergy test.
So this is one of our basic allergy panels that we test for environmental allergies. On here, this would be 10 different types of trees that we test for.
Essentially, he scratches the surface of the skin and looks for evidence of an allergic response. From there, he can find out what to put into allergy shots.
Actually take what patients are allergic to, we dilute it down, water it down so low the body can barely tell what it is, and we give tiny doses into the body. And every time they come to the clinic, we give a little stronger dose, teaching their body to tolerate these things from the inside.
I had a huge issue with always having to itch my eyes.
Kim Lash used to suffer from seasonal allergies until 2 years ago when she began getting allergy shots.
I have seen more success than failure with shots.
It can be very, very effective.
In Golden Valley, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
As for who should get an allergy test, Dr. Sweet recommends that anyone who feels their medications aren't working or who wants to be off medications altogether should have it done.
Food shelves are hoping the month-long Minnesota FoodShare campaign will stock their shelves for months to come. They made a lot of progress on that at CEAP in Brooklyn Center this weekend.
Behind us, we have food from Feed the Need, which took place on Saturday. We were in 5 grocery stores, 4 Cub Food stores and Festival Foods, soliciting donations with the help of many hands.
The Feed the Need food drive is one of 2 big efforts of the year at CEAP. The March drive is important because as part of the Minnesota Food Share, the Greater Minneapolis Council of Churches rewards food shelves with a grant based on the amount of food and cash they receive. There is 1 more week left to add up the totals.
Our goal was to raise 200,000 pounds of food and $150,000. We are well on our way to our food goal. We anticipate that we will hit that. We're still lagging behind a little bit on those financial donations, though, so we really need the community support on that. And without those financial donations, those are the things that keep our refrigerators running for this great food that we get in.
The CEAP collected more than $1,500 and more than 6,000 pounds of food on Saturday alone. Still ahead, we head to Robbinsdale, where 2 new businesses recently opened.
And that's next in Business Matters. And then a little bit later in sports, John Jacobson brings us highlights of Champlin Park's state championship bid in boys basketball.
But first, feeling springy on Tuesday, sunny and temperatures in the 50s. A new report from the state shows the Minnesota employers are still having trouble filling jobs in a tight labor market. According to the Department of Employment and Economic Development, the state has more than 97,000 job vacancies. A combination of baby boomers retiring and moderate job growth is creating a strong demand for workers. The number of job vacancies is up more than 1% from a year ago. One interesting finding, however, is that 43% of those available jobs are for part-time employment. When Wicked Wart Brewery opened its doors in Robbinsdale last year, the brewery was a first for the city.
And now the same family behind the brewery is opening up another business right next door. In this week's Business Matters report, it's a boutique and coffee shop, and its owners believe it's the perfect fit for downtown Robbinsdale. In downtown Robbinsdale, along West Broadway Avenue and right next door to Wicked Wart Brewery, there's a new business brewing that's truly a family affair.
It's like kind of the 2 things we love is fashion and coffee, so it worked out pretty well.
Wickedly Charming Boutique is a joint effort between the mother-daughter team of Teresa Carlisle and Samantha Denny, which assures that the clothing side of the boutique will have fashion and accessories for women of all ages.
Since I own it with my daughter, you know, she goes for the younger, I go for the older.
The mother-daughter duo started Wickedly Charming in 2011 as a traveling boutique. The two women would take the clothes and some of their handmade scarves and candles to fairs and festivals to sell. But when Teresa's husband, Steve Carlisle, bought the old TCF Bank building to open Wicked Wart Brewery, there was room in the building for Wickedly Charming to have its own space. And the boutique now includes a coffee stop as well, called Bean There Coffee Shop, featuring coffee from Minneapolis-based Spy House Coffee Roasting Company.
All their coffee is roasted fresh.
Though the boutique has only been open for a few days, the signs out front are already drawing in curious customers. And soon there will be outdoor seating shared on the patio with Wicked Wart Brewery.
I was walking up and down and just saw the sign for coffee opened, and that was the magic word, and I came in.
People love it. They come in and they're like, it's so cute, oh, thank you for being here, and they love the coffee, and we're open Sundays. There's nothing open Sundays except for the Wart.
With a walkable downtown, this latest addition to Robbinsdale is a nice blend among the other restaurants and small businesses. And now there's one more reason to spend a morning or an afternoon in Birdtown.
You got Minnesota Makers and the antique store, and come get coffee and shop and go get your hair done at the salon.
Wickedly Charming Boutique is open 7 days a week from 8 in the morning until 6 o'clock in the evening. Well, still ahead, sunshine and spring-like weather for kids on spring break. We'll show you how they're enjoying the week in Brooklyn Park.
But first in sports, one local team finished with a win in state boys basketball. Highlights from the third place and championship games. Up next in sports with John Jacobson.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. In 2015, the Champlin Park boys basketball team lost to Apple Valley in the state Class 4A championship game. McKinley Wright and Theo John were both starters on that team as sophomores and hoped to write a different script when the Rebels met the Eagles again for the title, this time as seniors, and again with a perfect 31-0 record. All-State guard McKinley Wright in transition gets the floater to bounce and drop for a 10-9 Rebels lead. Great point guard matchup. Trey Jones hits the bank shot for the Eagles on his way to a big game. Theo John muscles in for 2 points. He finishes with 12 points and 7 rebounds. A 3-on-1 break there. Marcus Hill from Wright for the layup. The Rebels taking a 27-25 lead into halftime. Back and forth in the second half. Josiah Strong with a 3 from the corner. The Rebels have their biggest lead at 47-41. John with one of his 8 blocks there, but he can't block them all. Jones will put a shot up off the glass for a 52-49 Eagles lead. Wright will dish to Hill for 2. That ties it at 52. But Jones makes a strong drive for the layup and a foul as Apple Valley takes the lead for good to hand the Rebels a heartbreaking 60-54 defeat.
I apologize to the city of Champlin and Brooklyn Park, letting them down again. I know we got fans all over Minneapolis, Minnesota area. I apologize to them too.
A tough loss for those young men. Wright, John, and Hill were named the all-tournament team, as were Brad Davison of Maple Grove and Gavin Baumgartner of Wayzata. On Sunday, McKinley Wright was named Mr. Basketball for Minnesota. We'll hear from him Tuesday, starting at 4 o'clock here on CCX News. Maple Grove and Wayzata both lost in the Class 4A semifinals. Crimson to Apple Valley and the Trojans falling to Champlin Park. That left the two local teams playing each other for third place in what turned out to be quite a game. Highlights from this one at Concordia University in St. Paul late in the first half. Maple Grove ahead. Brad Davison on the drive. Nice bounce pass to Taiwan Pickford for a layup. Pickford scores 23 points in the game. It's 32-25 Crimson at halftime. The Trojans come out strong to start the second half. Ryan Lindbergh follows his own miss to score on the putback, tying the game at 34. And then it's Mitchell Faust with an offensive board, lays in 2. Trojans up by 6, much to the delight of the Faust cheering section. Davison keeps Maple Grove close. His three-pointer part of a 24-point night for the senior, capping off a great prep career. The Trojans hold their lead. Jacob Benega with a big second half shooting with a 3 puts the Trojans ahead 53-49. He finished with 14 points. Gavin Baumgartner later hits another 3 for the Trojans. 17 points in the game for Baumgartner. Trojans looking to close it out with a win. Late in the game, it's Davison on the drive, scores, but it's not enough for Maple Grove. Wayzata wins 70-66. Both teams finish the season with a 28-4 record. And that is it for sports today. Practice is now underway in many spring prep sports. Mike and Alex, back to you.
And we move right forward into spring. A tough loss, though, for those kids at Champlin Park, but a great season.
Absolutely. Well done.
Up next, how kids on spring break are enjoying their vacation.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Spring break is on, but for some students in the Osseo district, this is no time to just be lazy.
Well, here's a great way to run off some energy. It's called the Zanewood Sports Sampler. Kids can try out dodgeball, basketball, and an obstacle course, as well as tennis. Then it's time to mix art and sports with a creative project.
It's called a Sports Buddy, so the kids just get to choose their favorite sport and replicate their favorite player. And they can even put themselves, like a self-portrait, in their own jersey too.
There are activities all day through Thursday, including a field trip to the Mill City Museum and a technology day as kids will work with a robot. It's called Kid Zone, and they do this throughout the year on days when there's no school for kindergartners through 5th graders, and there is a fee to attend the sessions.
A lot of extra energy to
That's
work
right.
off.
Burn off that energy this week. That does it for us.
Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you back here again Tuesday, starting at 4.